What if one of the most useful times to walk is the moment you usually sit down? Researchers have tested walking before meals, immediately after them, and later. Across 3 public papers, the pattern is interesting. Moving soon after eating often softened the immediate glucose response. But this is not a miracle hack, and it is not proof that one short walk prevents diabetes. Let us separate the practical signal from the hype, beginning with what the studies actually measured. After food is digested, glucose from that food enters the bloodstream. The rise after eating is called the postprandial glucose response. Researchers often summarize it with a curve. The height of the peak is one clue. The area under the curve, or a UC, captures the total glucose exposure across a set period. A lower peak or area in a trial means the short-term response was smaller. It does not automatically mean weight loss, better long-term health, or a lower risk of disease. The broadest paper was a 2023 systematic review and meta-analysis. It combined 8 randomized crossover trials, covering 30 interventions and 116 people. 47 participants had type 2 diabetes and 69 did not. Every included trial was rated at high risk of bias, so the result deserves caution. Even so, the pooled comparison favored exercising after a meal over exercising before it. The standardized mean difference was 0.47. That is a statistical effect size, not a 47% reduction. The same analysis also favored post-meal exercise over no exercise, with a standardized mean difference of 0.55. By contrast, exercising before the meal was not significantly different from inactivity for this acute outcome. The authors also found that a longer delay between the meal and exercise weakened the immediate effect. Their conclusion was about timing. Start soon after eating. It was not a claim that one exact minute works for everyone. A small 2025 laboratory trial makes that timing question easier to picture. 12 healthy young adults completed 3 conditions in random order. In one, they rested after drinking 75 grams of glucose. In another, they walked at a comfortable speed for 10 minutes immediately after the drink. In the third, they waited 30 minutes and then walked for 30 minutes. This clean crossover design compared each participant with themselves. But remember, 12 young adults drinking glucose is very different from a broad population eating a normal dinner. Both walking conditions lowered the 2-hour area under the curve and average glucose compared with rest. The immediate 10-minute walk also produced a lower glucose peak, 164.3 versus 181.9 milligrams per deciliter in the control condition. For peak glucose, the delayed 30-minute walk was not significantly different from control. The graph is persuasive, but the honest headline is narrow. In this tiny acute experiment, a brief walk started immediately after a glucose drink performed surprisingly well. It is not a guaranteed 17-point drop after every meal. What happened outside the laboratory? A 2024 crossover study followed 14 physically inactive, metabolically healthy young women in everyday life. On the walking day, they added 3 brisk 15-minute walks, beginning 30 minutes after breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Their 3-hour average glucose and area under the curve were lower than on the control day. The largest post-hoc difference appeared after dinner. The average was 6.71 versus 7.55 millimoles per liter. Yet the study found no improvement in its measures of overall 24-hour glucose control. Why might timing matter? Working muscle needs fuel. The Free Living paper explains that muscle contraction can increase glucose transport through both insulin-dependent and insulin-independent pathways. In plain English, using your leg muscles gives circulating glucose somewhere to go while glucose from the meal is arriving. That is a plausible mechanism, not a promise that everyone will see the same curve. Medication, meal composition, fitness, glucose regulation, and many other factors can change an individual's response. So what can you reasonably take into real life? If walking is safe for you, A comfortable 10 to 15-minute walk soon after a meal is a simple experiment, especially after the meal that is easiest to pair with a walk. Treat the duration as practical, not magical. The studies use different protocols. Do not use a short walk to cancel a meal, replace prescribed treatment, or chase a perfect glucose number. If you have diabetes, take glucose-lowering medication, are pregnant, or exercise can cause symptoms, ask a qualified clinician how to do it safely. The evidence-based takeaway is modest and useful. For the immediate glucose response, walking after eating appears more effective than walking before eating, and starting sooner may help. The evidence does not establish one perfect duration or prove a long-term health outcome. Small action, specific benefit, honest limits. If you want more everyday choices tested against public research, subscribe to Science Backed Life. Every paper used here is linked in the description.